Welcome to Culture Screen, where we analyze culture. In this episode, we are summarizing the first episode from Season 5 of the Sopranos series titled Two Tonys. The episode first aired on March 7th, 2004. In the beginning, 1 year has passed since Tony moved out of his house. Carmela ends up living with AJ, and Tony now resides in his mother's former home. As Tony is watching TV, we are made aware that the Class of '04 crew is being released from prison. One of the members being released includes one of Tony's cousins named Tony Blundetto. Tony is happy that he will get to see his cousin again. He grows a bit worried when he sees there are also a few New York mobsters being released as well. On the list of those set to be released, we see hitman Phil Leotardo and the consigliere of Carmine Lupertazzi, Angelo Gareppi. Tony thinks they may further irritate the tensions growing between the New York and New Jersey families. In another scene, Carmela sends AJ to find the vacuum cleaner they have in the pool house. As AJ heads out, he spots a bear. AJ then gets frightened and freezes up when the bear makes eye contact with him. AJ is horrified by the incident, and Carmela is shaken by her child's intimate brush with the animal. Moments later, we see the bear runs off without causing much damage other than some damage to the outdoor furniture. Two Department of Fish and Game officers are dispatched by the police after Carmela calls to look into the event. They warn against harming wildlife and attribute the bear's incursion to Tony's duck feed. The following morning, the bear makes a comeback, and Tony leaves for home as Carmela makes a second police call. We see Carmela and Tony get into an argument about Tony pampering AJ with gifts. Tony grows very upset that Carmela decided to phone the police rather than call him after the bear appeared. As we catch up with Feach Lamanna, an old school gangster from New Jersey, Feach is the first crew member of the Class of '04 to be released from prison. Feach heads over to Uncle Junior and Tony. He speaks to them about how excited he is about getting back to work, telling them that he can't wait to get back to it and start up his old business. Tony and Junior are happy for him, and they approve of Feach getting back to business. As a result of the recent bear sighting at his home, Tony then assigns Bonifacio and little Paulie Germani to patrol the residence at night in an effort to protect his family. As we catch up with Christopher and Paulie, we see they are talking about their mishap with the Russian from the Pine Barrens episode while hanging out with the guys at the Bada Bing. When Christopher casually implies that Paulie is to blame for the entire affair, tensions rise and the situation quickly escalates into a brawl. Paulie says he is no longer friends with Christopher. As a way of showing how upset he is with Christopher, we see Paulie starts ordering an extreme amount of food and drinks while they are with their girlfriends. Paulie is clearly only doing this so that Christopher is stuck having to pay an enormous bill. When Christopher goes to Tony to complain about Paulie's treatment, Tony reminds Christopher that his rank in the family is lower than Paulie's and therefore he must pay up. Christopher does not find assistance through Tony, so instead Christopher dodges the check by going to the bathroom as a way of making Paulie pay for the tab instead. This, of course, makes Paulie furious. The next morning, Paulie goes to Christopher and tells him that he will have to pay him what he spent on the dinner. Paulie adds that if he does not pay him in full, he will start charging him interest on the money he owes him. Remember, I am summarizing the entire series, so subscribe and click on the notification bell so you don't miss the next episode. I will be reviewing other TV shows and movies as well. Let me know what you would like me to summarize in the future in the comments section below. Doing these two things helps my channel out tremendously. I thank you for your support. Also, follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Support us on Patreon if you can. Later on, we see Tony's new guma, Valentina, is with him watching Prince of Tides on TV. The movie is about a patient who connects romantically with his therapist. This movie reminds Tony of Dr. Melfi, and he decides to send a gift basket to her. When Dr. Melfi calls Tony to thank him for the basket, he proceeds to flirt with her. Dr. Melfi tells Tony that his recent separation from Carmela and sudden romance toward her may be an indication that he wants to resume therapy. Later on, we see Dr. Melfi ends up dreaming of Tony. In another scene, we see Angelo Gareppi, one of the Class of '04 members being released, goes to meet up with Johnny Sack, Tony, and Carmine Lupertazzi. At the meeting, we notice Carmine is not his usual self. Seconds later, after saying he smells something burning, he has a stroke and falls into a coma. Johnny calls Carmine's son, Little Carmine, and Little Carmine comes up from Florida to be with his father. As Tony and Johnny are in the hospital, we see Johnny is still upset that Tony backed out of their plan to have Carmine Sr. whacked the year before. Tony briefly discusses the feelings he is having for Dr. Melfi with Silvio. Tony explains that he is pursuing a woman but knows he cannot have sex with her. This conversation confuses Silvio, and later on Tony makes plans to see Melfi for therapy. When Tony meets up with Dr. Melfi, he admits to her that he wants to date her. Tony tells Melfi that she is drop dead gorgeous and unlike anything that is out there in the world. Dr. Melfi reminds Tony that he is merely projecting the qualities he is searching for onto her. As Dr. Melfi is speaking, Tony kisses her, but Melfi is then forced to tell him that it is inappropriate for them to have such a relationship. Later on, we see Melfi speaking to her own therapist, Dr. Kupferberg. Kupferberg advises her to call the police because he believes Tony will turn dangerous if he does not eventually get Dr. Melfi. At this point, we finally learn from Dr. Melfi that she did find Tony attractive early on, but his immorality and hideous behavior drove those feelings away. As we catch up with Christopher and Paulie, the two are back at it again. Paulie and Chris are at another Guma dinner when Paulie begins ordering more orders than he can eat. Paulie follows this up by then sending an expensive champagne bottle to a table on the other side of the restaurant. Chris pays the tab, but obviously is upset about it. As the dilemma between the two continues outside, the waiter who was serving Paulie and Christopher interrupts the two of them and curses them out for leaving such a small tip. As the waiter turns around to walk away, Christopher throws a rock at him and he is immediately knocked down and the waiter has a seizure. Paulie follows up by taking the waiter out as he is laying on the ground. After having gone through the experience the next day, Paulie and Chris are back to being good friends again. In the final scenes, Tony speaks to Dr. Melfi outside of her office and asks her to be with him again. Dr. Melfi is afraid of Tony's reaction, so she does not tell him what she honestly feels at first. Ultimately, she tells Tony that she would not be able to have a relationship with someone as violent and immoral as Tony. This makes Tony furious and he proceeds to insult Melfi before storming out of the office. Now that Tony's attempts at being with Dr. Melfi have failed, Tony resorts to what he knows best and he heads home back to his house. Tony takes over bear watch duty from Benny and heads to the backyard, lights up a cigar alone. As Carmela asks him from afar if he wants some coffee, Tony replies no. That was episode number 53, titled Two Tonys. To watch the next or previous episode summary, click on the link in the description or at the end of this video. If you enjoyed this summary, consider clicking like. It goes a long way toward helping me grow this channel. Also, consider supporting us on Patreon, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. I'll see you on the next one.
$860. What?
We upload new videos every week, so subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit the like button as well. Click the notification bell to be notified of when we upload these videos. See you on the next episode of Culture Screen.